Patrick from Half Cheetah Will View is going to pop on and say hello, and he's going to promote their June 12th interview with Montano.
You know, I think he may be the most famous guy I've ever met.
Jerry Montano? Oh,
Not
because
Jerry,
of the last
no,
name?
No, Patrick.
Oh, Patrick. You know, he's from L.A. He worked at a lot of shows out there.
I was actually, and John, I was actually with a talent buyer in Northern California.
You in what part of Northern California?
San Jose, San Francisco area.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So did you do any stuff proper in San Francisco, like the Warfield or the Stone or any of that stuff?
My friend Jimmy Arsenault, who hopefully will be with us on the 12th, he was the buyer at the Stone, Omni, and One Step Beyond.
Oh, nice.
And then he worked with, him and I worked together on The Edge and did a few shows, independent, and a few shows at the Oasis.
Oh, nice.
Well, now, Pat, you just came in late, but John gave us a great impersonation of Sean Connery.
No, it wasn't great. No,
It's a real honor to meet you, John, by the way.
Well,
honor. I can't wait to talk to you.
Well, likewise. You know, do you go to many shows at the Stone back in the day?
I went to mostly One Step Beyond. I didn't drive back then, so I went to One Step Beyond. So and I also worked at the Edge in Palo Alto. So
yeah. Did you ever see Danzig?
Room?
Yeah, I remember.
I think you were there before I was. I think you played there. It used to be called another name before it was called the Edge. I know it's on top of my head, on top of my tongue. But yeah, I know you guys played there, and I also know you played at the Stone and Omnia. I think a couple of times.
Yeah. I know Palo Alto. A lot of people don't know Palo Alto, Northern California, a little bit inland, but really good local folk. You know, it's not San Francisco. It's not Humboldt County, really, right? It's they're still sophisticated. There's some country farm folk, but it's a big mix. So California's got a great rock and metal scene just from top to bottom, north to south. But it varies, you know, and it's a collective, and you get these little pockets of people that like this darker stuff, like we were putting out. And the thing is, they don't get a lot of really good shows, right? So they save up.
We worked our asses off. We had to contend with Bill Graham Presents toward the latter half, because Bill Graham Presents took over everything before Clear Channel took them over, and so we always had a battle at different venues with the you can't play the same venue within 60 miles of each other,
right?
So a lot of times you would go play Slims or the Paradise or the DNA. We wouldn't have a chance to get you.
Right. Yeah. So where are you now, physically?
I'm in Michigan. I've been in Michigan for the last 23 years.
Michigan.
All the venues are all gone. The Stone, Omni, One Step, they're gone.
Right.
The Edge is a parking lot.
Let's see. Tell me, in Detroit, is Harpo still there?
Which one?
Harpo's.
Yes, Harpo's still here. Harpo's still here. The St. James.
St. James, yeah.
Yeah, that's still there. Smalls, and not very many though. Not very many are left. The gold dollar's gone.
What's the theater up in Flint, Michigan?
I don't know that one. I know the Fox is downtown Detroit, and that's still active.
Okay.
That's a 3,000 seater. That's still going on.
Yeah, we played there. They still is Cobalt still doing shows down there?
Coho
Arena.
Yeah, no. They replaced that with Little Caesars Arena.
Okay.
They opened up. So they got rid of that. But Nob Hill's still with us, and Meadowbrook is still with us.
Oh, nice.
So Middlebrook holds about 3,000,
Right.
3 to 5, and Pine Knob holds about 10 to 15.
So are you on a breakfast, lunch, or dinner basis with any of these promoters?
No, the business changed. You know this. The business changed tremendously toward the end of the 90s. Clear Channel came behind and basically was buying up all the large venues.
Yeah.
And that happened in Detroit too. Do you remember a gentleman named Amir Daza?
I don't know. Does he work for Alibaba now? No, I don't remember him.
He owned the Clutch Cargo, Smalls. He owned St. James. He was the big club owner here at the turn of the century. But he got bought out by Clear Channel too.
Okay.
I don't. There's a small 120 seater next door to me called the Token Lounge.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Well, that's enough. Here's the thing. In Michigan is a rock and roll state. I mean, funny thing about Detroit, anybody that lives in Michigan, they go to the Motor City. They have to, right? It seems like the rest of the state is just a suburb of Detroit. But starting in the 60s, when rock and roll was really taking hold, the R&B thing, obviously Motown was a big influence, but it always had a hard rock presence. You got MC5,
Sure.
You got Bob Seger, you got Ted Nugent, you got a lot of people that came out. These amazing, in the early days, Detroit was known for rock guitar tone, and this really aggressive rock vibe. They did psychedelic rock, but it was heavy. It always had an edge to it. And when I talked to Uncle Ted, as I call him now, when I talked to Uncle Ted, I was interviewing him for Guitar for the Practicing Musician back in the 90s. And we talked a lot about that kind of stuff, and he said, yeah, he would sneak in and go to bars and everything and just devour the energy that was there. And of course, like he says, oh, we would sneak in the back door and we would see those chicks dancing. We would devour them like rabid dogs. And, but I said, where'd the tone come from? And he said, it's the industry, man. He said, it's the world. It's the atmosphere, And when you get into the studios, my experience with tone and sound and stuff, every studio you go into has a different vibe, and they do some things well, hopefully, and then other things, you can't do everything well. Every studio room isn't the same, right? It's not all Abbey Road or Sound City or Sunset Sound or, any of that stuff. But they had some great studios and engineers in Detroit that just put out this, stuff that's immortal.
Hey, John, Andrew from IM is here, and Corpse Paint Records.
Corpse.
Oh, okay.
Corpse
Yeah.
Paint
And
Records.
What up?
Patrick, he's Todd Strange's manager, by the way.
What up?
Oh, okay.
Right on.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah. So, hey, Pat, can you plug our interview that we have on the 12th for your YouTube channel? And please, Patrick, let the audience know who you are.
So I'm Patrick. As you probably just heard, I have a background in music. I was a talent buyer for 10 years back in the San Jose, San Francisco area. I moved here 23 years ago. I have a YouTube channel called Have Cheetah Will View, and the primary focus of my channel was interviews, and so I interview anybody who will talk to me. So I've been doing it for a couple of years and having a lot of fun, and met up with the Friendly Man crew it's been about 4 months for us, right?
4 months,
4 or 5 months?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been here. Go ahead.
June 12th is our big interview with Jerry Montano and John Christ, and hopefully Todd Strange will come back on your channel.
Yes, Todd will come back. We just got snake bit this week but we had bad weather interview with Todd's interview, and then I had a poor connection with my interview in the UK in the very next show.
Wow.
But we will reschedule for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to say this for the record. That interview with John and Wintervog.
Wintersword. Wintersword?
This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Masterclass. One of the best interviews I've ever seen.
What did you enjoy about it? What did you like the best?
You know what? I tell you what really made it really cool, John. You're doing exactly the same thing right now as you were when you're talking with them. You're playing guitar and you're talking about the craft. I'm not a musician, but I sure can respect what you do. And, I've seen some great ones in my time. So when I'm sitting there watching you share your knowledge and they're asking questions, it was like a peer-to-peer talk. And it felt really, felt like a real honor to sit there and watch that.
It was a lot.
And I can't wait to.
Yeah, I sorry to cut you off. Yeah, it was, I'm recalling that interview and it was fun for me. I think I may have had more questions for them than they had for me because they're recording, they're playing festivals, they're moving gear around, they're dealing with the new technology, blah, 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 blah. I've been teaching like crazy, so I haven't been moving around and my world has been smaller,
Yeah.
And I'm like, so, what are the big boys using to air it out? How have things changed, and what are you guys doing in the studio? Has the process changed too? I was curious, is your writing process, has the technology affected the actual writing process? Because we can have a thought now and it can be sensed from a sensor and digitized and edited and put out by AI. You know what I'm saying? So it was very interesting to hear. And of course, the fact that you're so incredibly flattered that somebody even remembers who you are after 35 years, and is,
I think musicians remember musicians a lot more than, say, people remember necessarily like movie stars or writers or novelists or whatnot. I think musicians are just held that much more, and I think they're held up a lot more and they're remembered a lot more. I mean,
Go ahead, Patrick. I'm so sorry.
I mean,
go ahead.
That's just my opinion. Because I get around musicians and if I mention, if I met, you can just hear them start talking about different bands and different lineups and different songs being written.
Yeah.
And the knowledge that they have is just amazing.
Right.
And because I have a hard time remembering anything, but they remember.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Look at it this way. We all remember what our very first rock concert was, right?
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Bar none. Every single one of us remembers the band. They remember where we saw them, right? We probably have more little mini movies that were associated with that event. Probably don't remember getting up that morning or going to bed that night or whatever, right? What we ate, we don't remember that, but we remember that feeling when we were in the room with those people and we felt that shock wave and we heard those sounds for the first time, right?
Absolutely.
So that clear a memory that's with you for a lifetime, right? So as musicians, what we do is we try and reconnect with that feeling of excitement every time we play a gig, every time we give a lesson, every time we record a solo, every time we turn on the radio in the car and we're trying to learn a song in our head without a guitar in front of us, all that stuff. Every time we see somebody we hate getting an award for a song that fucking sucks, we got to remember where it came from. You know what I'm saying?
Are we talking about the Grammys?
I'm just saying.
Hey, John. Hey, Patrick. I wanted you to meet Andrew. Andrew's the brains behind I Am, which is the new super group.
Hey,
and John also. John made a comment. He was supposed to go live with us with Kenny, but he had some things to do.
Sure.
John, did you make it? You made a comment about the track that you heard about I Am, right?
I'm sure I made several comments.
Have you heard it yet?
I've heard it. I've heard,
Cool. What do you think?
I think I want to see him live. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think the appeal of that band is going to be when you're in the room with them and you get the full explosion of the atmosphere that they're creating, right?
Sure.
Kenny, Todd, Kelly, Kirk, yeah.
So those guys, I mean, yeah, you got to do the typo reference and everything. But I'll tell you one thing. Type O, from the get-go, had a unique vibe, a unique sound, and those guys playing together were tight. And I loved it. The first time I came out to see them, I'm like, wow, they're wearing black clothes. They're playing black guitars. They've got green fret markers. They got Krylon spray paint cans painting their guitars backstage. The lead singer's got a 3/8 tractor trailer chain for a fucking guitar strap, right, guzzling 2 bottles of red wine a night, and it's just like but it was sexy, dark, cranking. And Kenny and Johnny, all those guys, they're pros, man. They're pros. I think getting them in front of the people in the right venues and getting their tour rhythm and stuff going, I think it's an awesome thing. And I'll be devastated if they don't pull me out on stage when they come through town. Did I say that out loud? Maybe I wouldn't say that part out loud.
Wow.
Hey,
that would be.
I would go ahead and check that box. That'd be great.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't have to do Mother, I swear.
Okay. Fair enough.
I've played that one a time or two. I'm just saying.
Sure. No, I understand completely. Well, great. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And Andrew, you were the Type O as well, right?
I did, yes.
Did you tour with them when they played My Room, The Edge? Were you there for that show?
I think that San Fran, what I remember with Type O doing San Fran is Slim's and the Regal Ballroom, I think are those Bay Area venues I remember.
Okay.
I was there at the end. Of their run before the Dead Again stuff. But yeah, I wasn't there like in the early days. In fact, I was 17 and I saw Type O for the second time on the Bloody Kisses when they were opening up for Danzig on the 4 tour. Saw Godflesh, Type O, and Danzig at New Orleans. I think at the State Palace Theater in NOLA. Joey, maybe second or third show, I could still see Erie and you guys kind of counting him off during some songs. So Joey was still pretty fresh.
So that was 94.
94.
Yeah.
Yeah, 94.
Yeah.
Great show. I was in the front.
Joey was great. And a lot of people that don't know, let's see, we met Joey. He was a local guy. He played with a band called Sugar Tooth in Hollywood, in LA. And his girlfriend played in a group called Manhole or something like that. She was a lead singer too. And great drummer and all this. We had a bunch of people come in, audition for drums. So I was devastated when Chuck left. I'm still devastated that Chuck left.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
Saying.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Who's not?
But what happened was when we had to get new drummers, it fell upon me to be the band director and go through the auditions. Glenn was never there. Until, if you think it's America's Got Talent or Hollywood's Got Drums or whatever.
Sure.
So we're doing the vetting. Management's calling everybody they know, blah, blah, every rehearsal studio, every cover band, every whatever. And, these cattle calls and guys are coming out. So what happened was I had to learn how to play drums, right? So I could teach these guys the right way to do Mother, right? I'm not a drummer, but so I had to sit down with the basic tracks, take the vocals out, all this kind of stuff, night after night after night, day after day after day, sitting there playing drums in my lap and blah, blah. I only got into a rehearsal studio. There was one rehearsal studio in North Hollywood that we went to. And one of the guys that worked at the studio would let me come in and play drums for a while, just so I could learn the basic parts. And then we were doing the auditions. Most of it I verbalized, you know, like I would air drum everything, and I would do it over the microphone, and they would get the picture, and I would say, okay, you need more kick drum, the accent's too fun, you know, you're pushing the 1, you got to drag the 3 and push the 4, you know. So it forced me to have to get like dialed in and all this kind of stuff. And Joey was the one guy that got it. When I explained it, I verbalized it, he internalized the processed it, and executed it. And I was like, okay. And the drums, the rehearsal room drums sounded differently when he sat behind the kit than the previous 8, 10, 15 guys.
Yeah. I got you.
So I was like, okay, note to self, drums sound different. I'm in this room 3 times a week. I know what the drums sound like.
Right. This is the guy.
Yeah. So he was great. He and I had a lot of fun on tour. His cousin Josh Lazy, who ended up playing bass for a little while after Erie and I departed on July 5th, 1995, blah, 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 day that will live in infamy.
That's right.
So Josh was there. He stepped up. Joey stayed with him. But that last tour, the States, when we were up in the Northwest, right, we were doing some shows because we just, Danzig 4 was out. We did the Metallica tour, and then Chuck left, and you know, he didn't come back and all that. So we had to do more stuff before we went to Europe. So we were doing some shows, and Joey was great. And Josh was a lot of fun because he could play bass and sing. So, you know, it would be sound check, and I would come in early, and Joey would show up, and we would do stuff, you know, with Glenn, whatever songs he wanted to do. And then it was just like, I would see Lazy go over and pick up the bass. Joey be behind the kit. I'm looking. I wink at him, you know, and then Lazy's like, all right. He's like, what's it going to be? I said, Highway to Hell, side 1. And the crew band, we played AC/DC, you know.
Nice.
Sometimes we do side 1, Highway to Hell. So we had fun, man. We got to jam, you know. Cool. And prior to that, the vibe with Chuck and Erie and all that is just like, just wasn't happening that way. So
on 2 things. Joey's in the Circle Jerks, which Small World, right? Chuck was also in the Circle Jerks. But speaking of Erie, you saw Erie. I saw the pictures. Those smiles seemed so genuine. That was so good to see as a longtime fan. How was it? If you already commented, I'm sorry if you already touched on it.
That's a great question.
But I could see through the photos. I could feel the love and see the love. Is that what it was like?
Yeah, well, you know, while those first pictures were being taken, you know, just said hello to him. It was the point in the conversation where you're going, you know, how's your mom? You know, I heard your dad pass, so did mine. You know, you're doing all that human
interaction,
connecting, you know, and it'd been probably, last time I spoke to him on the phone is probably at least 7 years, something like that. Last time we've been in the same room was back in the 90s. You know.
Wow.
So it had been a long time. So that was great. We talked, we did some pictures, we went and had dinner, we caught up,
cool.
You know. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was good. And at the time just like flew by, you know. It was just, you know, we have to do that again. I actually got to call him again this weekend. But he's starting to do music again too, and he's had a record that he's been working on for a while, and I heard some of the tracks, and he's really, you know, he's dived into the country blues thing. He likes all kinds of music, but I know that he hired some really good Nashville guns, man. Some Nashville guitar players, slide players, fiddle players, you know. So he's got some talent already lined up, and he's just, you know, working it out quietly before he makes his next move.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I just saw that, and yeah, from a fan, that was really good to see, and I hope to see more of you guys in the same room together.
Yeah,
Hey,
I asked him. Actually, I didn't ask him because I didn't talk to him yet. But one of the guys, it might have been Jason or somebody or a friend of his, that while we were doing our little, I call it the Southern Experiment. While we were on the Southern Experiment. Okay, wait. Somebody's broken the perimeter. I've
Uh-oh.
I've got
Release the
to
practice.
hang on. Somebody's broken the perimeter. I have to initialize the 50 cal on the roof real quick here. You remember?
The bunk,
You
the
remember
bunker's
that?
been penetrated.
Oh, there's a second alarm. The inner perimeter has been breached. So
Release
the
the
you
practice.
remember that movie, The Jackal, right? Bruce
of
Willis.
course,
Right. Yeah.
Bruce Willis
Yeah.
and Jack Black.
Jack
Yeah.
Black, right? So,
Yeah.
I got one of those on the house, one on the barn, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So that second perimeter, oh, wait a minute, the time, I'm checking the time between checkpoints. That's okay. That's 7.4 seconds. That's my wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know how fast she drives up the driveway. So
Yeah.
anyway.
So, hey, Patrick, this is important for me to introduce you to Andrew because you're going to be doing stuff with Todd Strange, which is his product, And Andrew, will you take this time and plug the I Am
Oh, yeah.
single? I know you
Yeah,
showed the
Yeah.
CD.
let's
For
do
sure.
that.
Yeah, we're so stoked. June 2nd, Friday.
Play it
Everywhere.
Play some of
Yeah,
it.
I know. Let's see. Let me
Can
get
you
it off the head.
Show us the CD, Andrew?
Yeah,
You showed us the CD
course.
earlier.
Hey, James.
I will. Yeah.
James, you don't have it queued up already? You should be playing in
Right.
the background now.
There we go.
Wow.
Instagram. They don't do that.
Jonas, what is Jonas doing? Is even
Yeah.
Jonas still
Jonas-
even watching? He should be playing this music. Jonas, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls.
Now, Andrew, please plug I Am to the audience. We're really
Yeah.
excited about it, and it's
Yeah.
been great.
Everywhere, June 2nd. Revolver is going to premiere the video that morning at 10 a.m. everywhere, and then it's going to be available digitally as well. But obviously, I've got hard copies at Corpse Paint. I got my first distributor deal, so I sent off CDs, 7 inches, and cassettes to the Alliance Distribution Warehouse, so that way go to your retail store and ask for us, so that way they can get off that distributor warehouse floor and into your shop. That was a huge piece coming through. So from a label aspect, that was a really cool win to do this week of sending that stuff off.
Hey,
But let's see,
Andrew.
I got the head. Yeah, yes, sir.
Andrew, is that distribution pretty good, especially for
Yes.
vinyl?
Yes, I was really thrilled. They were handling all the stuff through Cleopatra,
Right.
is where I got them from, and
Well, I won't hold that against them.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Didn't Cleopatra just sign the last 200 bands of all time?
Probably.
I think-
I think they're making movies, and they're making movies right now too.
Are they?
They are.
I think
That's right.
Yeah.
they own the rights to pretty much anything produced between 1950 and 1985.
Wow.
They're rocking,
So-
man. They're rocking.
Yeah.
Well,
Andrew,
I'm not
can you-
I'm not affiliated with them, but I just looked at who they were using for the distributor, and I went in and I was like, so I clicked that link, and then I went to the actual distributor itself, and I sent them an email, and 3 days later, I got a phone call from the guy, and he's like, hey, I'm following up with the email. You got a project with the Crowbar and Typo guys? I was
Yeah.
like, yes, sir, I do. Yes, sir, I do. Let's make a deal. And so we talked, and we made a deal, and that was really exciting to have that availability. Of course, I kind of gave up a lot on the digital side, but
yeah.
that's okay. I have to have the opportunity to have the physical product, because let's face it, we're metal fans. We still like physical products, even though the streaming is handy when we're working on the car and whatnot, and we're fiddling on the computer. At the end of the day, I'm still a tangible guy. If I love it, I buy it. I flip through it. I want to read the liner notes. I want to find out all the good stuff.
Hey, man, in the end.
I love the fact you brought cassettes into the mix.
Yeah, that's I bought all those Danzig cassettes as a kid and typos, so I grew up in that, and if it's my label, I get to do what I want to do. Well, hell yeah, I'm gonna have some cassettes, you bet.
That's cool.
So,
So,
Let's see if I can
John,
turn
you
these
were-
and off and maybe have some music. Huh?
John, you were going to say something.
No, I changed my mind.
Hey, Andrew, can you tell John the story about you and Kenny talking about his guitar playing?
Yeah, so I was, and this is, I was meant with all due respect, but I was telling Kenny, I was like, I never really pegged Danzig as the songs difficult because the body of his songs, let's see, are typically written standard E, right? But where those songs get developed from goes crazy. And Kenny goes, "Are you kidding me? Those are some of the most complicated solos." John kept me up for weeks when I learned how to get that to her. I had to go over his stuff. So yeah, he's like, John is an amazing player. He had so much respect for you once he really had to learn in and dive in on what you did. He said it gave him a new perspective on it and was obviously knew he had a task at hand.
Well, I definitely appreciate that, and as a guitar player, I empathize completely. Like you said about the music. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of cool Danzig stuff, but a lot of it wasn't that good. And coming from heavy metal, I love Priest, I love Maiden, I love Van Halen, I love Clapton, Hendrix, Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, all these guys, these are virtuoso guitar players. So now I'm in a group with a bunch of punk rockers that don't want to hear it.
Right.
They don't want it.
Right.
They do not want it.
Sure.
So I mean, Steve Morse did a song called Too Many Notes, right? So I heard it's a great song, by the way. But anyway, so it was just like, okay, so now my whole toolbox had to change, and I had to put the emphasis on a different syllable. So I had to put more into a briefer interval and still comment, on the music and retain the vibe of the song.
Right.
With less.
Yeah.
Know?
Sure.
Yes.
So I said, okay, I'm gonna go evil early.
Cool. I like it.
So I go evil early and quick. I get in and out and nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
And one of the guys who really helped me with that style, who's now an uber famous producer, Brendan O'Brien, who started out playing. He was a studio runner in Atlanta
Cool.
in the 70s and 80s. And then he hooked up with Rick Rubin, which was the Golden Goose. But before that, he played lead guitar in the Georgia Satellites.
Cool. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So Brendan O'Brien, I mean, he worked with Stone Temple Pilots and STP and all this kind of stuff. That was much later. He was, he started working with us. That was right when Rick's partner, George Draculius, discovered the Black Crowes from Atlanta. Right?
Gotcha.
So I got the benefit of Brendan O'Brien, who was a little bit older, but he was an amazing blues rock guitar player. Right? So he pissed me off because he was so good. I could not fucking stand the guy. The only thing that saved it is he sucked in pool, and we played pool every night.
Well, there you go. So you got some redemption on him.
It's funny.
He'd make me work really hard for it, and then I would destroy him at the pool table.
But get your revenge.
Like I said, without him, I got to start a record with a dive bomb.
Yeah, right.
What guitar player gets to start an album with a freaking dive bomb?
Right.
Nobody. And
John Christ does. That's who.
That's right.
We spent 8-9 hours going through different Marshall cabinets, Marshall amps, and all this kind of stuff. I'm just doing dive bombs all freaking day long. We're changing microphones. He's putting them on ladders. He's putting them in tubes. We're putting them in air conditioning vents. Blah 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 blah. He's doing all. He's got people running around all day long. But when it finally came out, those tones on that Lucifuge record, I figured out what I wanted to do, and I told him the tone that I was looking for, and he made it happen. So by the time I came into overdubs in the studios, I just stopped thinking, and I said, you know what? I can't think about this anymore. I just got to go. He said, don't worry, I'll tell you if it's good. and then we would go through it, and we discussed some things. He was like a big brother. And then when I nailed it, he goes, that one was rocking.
That's it.
And I
Wow.
go like, I said, okay, 9-ball, your break.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll have to say, I want to say this real quick too, because you mentioned about the studio work. I read Danny Goldman's book. He used to work for Mercury, and he was also a studio producer. And when John was saying how they're putting the mics everywhere, he's not bullshitting. That's exactly what you guys do in the studio. I was amazed. I was like, I thought it was just a simple, everything gets set up like before a show.
Nope.
I could not believe what he brought into the studio to get a certain tone or certain sound. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And so when I'm hearing you say that, I'm going like, a lot of people are going like, man, he's exaggerating,
Well,
but you're not.
here's the thing. Rock bands, you get together in your basement, your garage, your rehearsal studio. You get into this familiar zone, right? And everybody's cranking, everybody's pushing it, and the room is vibrating. It is thumping, right? And the sound that we're hearing is not just the guitar and the vocals. Not only am I hearing the guitar out of my amp, I'm hearing it bounce off the wall, bounce off the drums, off the ceiling. Some of it gets sucked up in the carpet, some hits a sofa, but it might hit a hard surface over here, a control room glass, blah, 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 blah. Every instrument in the room is doing the same thing, right? And you adjust to make that sound really good. Well, then you're expected to take that and reproduce it in a sterile environment somewhere else, right? But this time, it's got to go through 10 miles of cables and a board and come out through these little speakers and sound like it did in that rehearsal room. That is incredibly difficult, and that's where the producers and the engineers in the studios and the techs, the assistant techs, everybody just trying to reproduce that original vibe, capture the performance, and then enhance it, and then make it boom. Then it has to breathe like humans. So, and ultimately, it all is crap if you don't get a good, an amazing vocal performance. If you do not get a kick-ass vocal, you're done. All that
I agree.
work, all that hundreds of thousands of dollars is fucking wasted. So
Yeah, I agree.
I don't care if your singer's the biggest freaking prima donna on the planet. You make him happy. You get him in his zone where he's just feeling it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm getting a big advance. We're doing a happy dance in the control room because he's nailing it. We're like, fucking
That's
this is great.
Exactly.
Hey, John, sorry to cut you up, but Raquel Figlo is here. The publicist for I Am has just entered and started watching this.
Yeah, I sent her a message, and she's like, "What?"
Yeah.
I said, "Hi."
So, now, John, I have a question for Andrew, John, and Patrick, but I'm going to start with Andrew. If you could see John Christ in a supergroup, who would you like to see John Christ jam with?
Oh,
And
wow.
I don't always show up with a purple tie and suit. I came from a funeral, so I apologize for that. Then again,
Yeah.
No, screw that. I don't apologize for that.
You know,
It was
I think he was already in one.
godmother.
I think he was already in one. I'm pretty safe to say Chuck Biscuits is a punk legend. Erie Vaughn's a punk legend. Glenn Danzig is I think he was already in a super group. Danzig. I think if I want to see John Christ, but yeah. But if I had to pull some guys other than that, obviously Bill Ward, I would love to see behind the kit. Pops out as a drummer, bass player. I would like to see Michael Anthony, just because I know John likes to rock as well. Vocalist, man, I don't know. That would be weird. Vocalist, I'd have to Mike Patton. There it is, Mike Patton.
John,
I was thinking Robert Plant, but okay.
That works. That works.
Hey, John, Raquel said she met you at NAMM 20 years ago, and she has a photo with you and her.
That's cool.
That's nice. NAMM. So 20 years ago. So that would have either been the Los Angeles Convention Center or the Anaheim Convention Center for Winter NAMM. And depending on which one it was, I would either have been appearing courtesy of Ibanez or Lexicon. And I would have been wearing black.
Most
So
likely. Most likely.
If I'm not mistaken, Raquel, she played it.
Anaheim. She said Anaheim.
Okay, so she played a big role. She was very active in trying to save or resuscitate Irvine Meadows as a performance venue.
That would be yes.
That's
okay.
And a huge Danzig fan.
Yeah.
I won't hold that against her, but I appreciate that.
So, hey, fellas, look, man, I live across the world. It's cutting midnight where I am, so I'm going to cut this short, but I just want each of you to plug what you guys got going on.
Wait. Somebody's got to go to bed. I'm being cut off because it's nappy time in Turkey. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, John, I was up. Yeah. Sundays are a busy day.
I wasn't up?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, John.
What?
I was up at 4:30
I'm here as a walnut being cracked. I'm here.
John, he was.
James has to go to bed. Go ahead, I'm listening. I want to hear that music. Go ahead, play the music.
Go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead. This is a exclusive. I am, yeah.
What do y'all think?
It sounds great. It sounds great. So, Patrick, so would you do an interview with Andrew and Todd Strange together?
Yeah,
Hey,
definitely.
You got T. T's got enough to talk about.
Oh,
hey,
man.
There you go.
You've been. But yeah,
I understand.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm going out of town next week with family and vacation. Then I'm going to New Orleans at the end of the month to record some more tunes.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
Yeah.
You know what? We'll just stay in touch, Andrew, and then when your schedule lightens up, then we'll do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say right now, your schedule with the release has got to be insane.
It's getting there, but it's exciting, so it's all welcomed. I'm so thrilled. I love the project. I love the dudes. I love the tune. So it's all welcome, just bringing for everyone to finally get the opportunity to hear it. So stoked on that.
Are you
go? And I'm going to sign off as well. John, it's always great to see you.
Nice
Pleasure
to see
talking to you again.
Likewise.
We'll stay in touch.
Likewise.
And definitely we'll cross paths and we'll see each other in the physical form sometime later this year, hopefully 2024.
I look forward. All the best. Stay healthy.
Likewise. All right. Nice to meet you, Pat. You guys be good.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right. Take care.
Take care, Andrew. Take care.
James Eads.
All right,
James Eads, before you brush your teeth and go to bed, there was a question about Brand New God earlier. And I changed guitars. I broke a string on the other guitar. Then I broke another string, so I got another guitar. So he was asking about the middle part, and we started a discussion. Why are you putting a bit? Well, anyway, that became my favorite part of the whole song, right? And it was interesting. Again, that was the one song that was a little retro towards Loose Fuse. It was in the same key as Long Way Back from Hell. Remember, and the.
I love that song. See, Patrick, when he goes live with us, he's not going to have this problem.
So, but in the song, what he's talking about, Brand New God has this. Right, then it slows down and it does a Long Way Back from Hell type of thing where it goes.
Yeah, it's Instagram.
Right?
Yeah.
So you got dropouts and all that. I know it sounds not great and all that, but the answer to the question is that when we started messing around with it and actually doing the bends, you know, the chords were different. We changed the chords a bunch of different ways. That was part of the way Glenn and I wrote together is we would start with a couple of just fragmented ideas, and then I would take them and loop them. I'd just be like the guitar loop machine, human guitar loop machine. And then we would make some changes and experiments. And if it still wasn't going right, I'd be like, all right, Glenn, pick up guitar, let's jam, let's figure it out. You know, we would go back and forth. And then I would pick up the guitar again, and the band would come in, you know, and then we'd start playing. And it was so funny because I just like hated that idea when it first happened. And then I've seen videos of us doing it. I think it was 95 Rock am Ring. It was one of my last shows with the band ever, right? MTV Europe, and we did Mother and blah, blah, blah. And it was with Joey Castillo. We did Going Down to Die. We did Can't Speak and all that. But the Brand New God thing, you know, it reminded me so much of playing with Chuck Biscuits. And I was sad every time I played the song. So it was almost like I ended up playing that song for him, even though Joey Castillo was behind the drums, you know, and Joey was on top of it. I mean, he was trying to execute, make everything perfect, and, you know, improving himself at the same time. So, and that part in that song, I knew that part was coming, right? And we were holding the chord, and for a few seconds, I had control over what 50, 60,000 people were going to hear. So if I wanted to take a couple extra seconds and just let the feedback ring, or just look around, take a drink of water or whatever, smile at the cameraman, whatever, had hand signals that I would do with the sound man who'd be like 75, 80 yards away. I couldn't see him. He just had a flashlight that he would blink at me, and I would do hand signals for, are we good, down, loud, soft, high, low, whatever. He knew what I meant. He would flash the light to confirm or deny whatever it was. So I would do my hold, and then I'm doing my hand signals first while the audience is just settling down. So I know, so I'm almost telling him, okay, sound not good up here, crank the delay in the house, crank the sustain in the house. And I would go and I would stand near the big PA stacks, right? So I could feel it more. And I could imagine, like the live sound on a stage on a festival where you're outside, the guitar is like, I can't even hear my amp. It's so far away. It's like 50 or 60 feet away. I can't even hear it. I can hear side fills and stuff like that. But when you get close to the mains, you can feel that bottom, right? You got 250, 300,000 watts per side, whatever it is. It's massive. And so I hand signal, you know, real quick. The sound guy understood what it was, what I wanted, so he could make a temporary adjustment. And we got it right that day, you know, and it gives me chills every time I see that video. So for that fan, if you're still out there watching, yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of that record. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great song.
You can go to bed now, James.
Oh, well, first I'm going to let Patrick, can you plug our, you know, I was going to have John plug the interview, but you go ahead, Patrick.
So on June 12th, Monday, June 12th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 o'clock Pacific, we will be joined by the mighty John Christ, Jerry Montano, along with Jonas and James from the Friendly Men, myself, and hopefully my good friend Jimmy Arsenault will join us as well.
Wait, is he?
And
he's not related to Andrew Arsenault, is he?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's a good thing.
But yeah, he's a great musician in his own right, for sure. And we'll be on, and we will be talking and taking questions and interviewing both John and Jerry together, and watching those two guys talk a little bit. It's gonna be a master class. It's gonna be like I can't wait for that.
Yeah, and John, you'll need to use a computer for that one. So when you play guitar, it will actually work for StreamYard. It will really work.
Actually, we're okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
I will get a copyright claim, but that's okay. I'm fine with that because it's worth it, and I'll put a disclaimer down into the video.
Patrick, every single Friendly Men interview with John gets a copyright claim. Every single one of them. I'm gonna get it. I know it.
Yeah. So we will be there at 3 p.m. Eastern time. If you go to my YouTube page, it's the same. It's the same as my Instagram page. Have Cheetah Will View. You'll see. We'll be having we'll be putting the banner out for it, so you can come by and you can follow the channel, and you can also click on the notification. Notify notify when we do the show, when we go live.
Sure.
You'll get notified. Yep.
Sure. And a message to Raquel, the publicist who's watching us. Patrick also interviews artists for his channel, and he had Todd Strange, who is one of your clients. So check it out. John, all right, your turn, Johnny boy. What do you got to plug?
No más aquí. Mucho ocupado presente y futuro y junio y julio y agosto y septiembre y noviembre y diciembre, sí. Ahora está fresco, mucho calor en el ventana en futuro. But other than that, yep, I'm preparing. I'm rehabbing my finger. I'm trying to heal from this injury. I'm writing songs. I'm trying to set up some gigs. Maybe do a couple impromptu Giznat things in Chicago. We got Days of the Dead coming up. Like we said, we got interviews, podcasts. I'm looking forward to the 12th. Hopefully a Gibson thing in the near future in LA. Drummer Stefan Svensson, who played on Flesh Caffeine, has got a project going, so I'm hoping to crash his studio and his guest room. Jerry Montano, he's threatened to do something. And then, so let's see. Oh, Ace Von Johnson owes me a steak dinner, so I got to decide where I want to go for that.
That's hilarious. Hey, Raquel said she sent you a DM. She wants to meet you for coffee and sent you a picture of her with you in your Instagram DM,
oh, boy,
John.
I look forward to that.
So
that'd be cool.
Hey, John. Now, how do you think this went for the second time around?
We'll talk later.
Sounds good.
I think you need to go to bed. Sweet dreams, James.
All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you, everybody in the chat. Please follow these two guys. And also check out John's interview with Jeff Frooms. Follow Have Cheetah Will View. Take care. John, this has been great. I had a great time with you guys.
Thank you to you, James, and the other guys, and Patrick and Andrew and everybody. And Jonas, go catch that big
salmon.
Grizzly bear salmon. Don't fall off a Denali. And be careful. The strippers up there in Alaska can hit 400 pounds. So I've heard. You got to be careful there. And thanks to James Eads and his brother, and Burnt and all his whole crew out there. They're behind the scenes trying to do the best they can, and polish this thing up, as it were.
Hey, John, off the record, man, you're just such a great person. You're such a great dude. You deserve a lot, and I'm really honored to help you meet some really good people. And your legacy still lives on, and people just need to know that you're just a genuine guy. Pat, you were going to say something?
Yeah, like I said, I've worked with a lot of bands, and they've always been super cool, real easy to talk to, and
Except for Michael Shanko, right?
Huh?
Except for Michael.
Oh.
Who? Richie Blackmore.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you heard too, huh? Yeah. Well, the legend's true. But yeah, well, we'll be here on the 12th. Looking forward to it. Jonathan is awesome. So glad you hooked us up, James. This is going to be a lot of fun, and looking forward to it.
John needs to be shared with the world.
We'll have fun.
Definitely.
All right. So listen, and John, remember on the 12th, you can use the computer Everything is fine. It's much better than Instagram. It's
Okay.
more relaxing.
All right.
Yes,
Sounds
So-
good. Well,
Oh,
I appreciate the hard work everybody's done to make it happen.
Absolutely. And Jason Virus, nice to meet you and glad that we're connected. So
Yeah, good to
take
see you,
care,
Jason.
fellas. Yeah, and hey, guys, have a good night. Have a good day, and I'll be talking to you guys later.
And happy Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah. That's right. And hey, wish me luck, John. Tomorrow's the big day in Turkey.
Oh, the runoff.
Yep. The runoff
Good
is
luck.
tomorrow. Yep. I got a full day
All right, I'm
of
out.
lessons. All right, Pat, take care.
All right. Take care, man.
Take care, fellas. Have a good night.